Hello everyone, this is Jerry again, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that we're going to have to discuss this. This is not easy for some people, but it's like the big elephant in the room. You need to really think about this before you get into real estate, renting rental properties, single family homes. Uh, the subject of today is this. I don't like telling people to pay up or move out. This is just my opinion. You can't be a shy person and make it in the rental business. It's not a business for introverts. If you have a problem standing your ground with another person, you may want to consider doing something else, or what you would do when a future tenant will attempt to take advantage of you in your landlord position. If you think you are this type of person and still want to pursue being a landlord, you might consider reading books or taking classes on interpersonal relationships, personality conflicts, or subjects of that type. There's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube and the internet that you can use. There are some people who actually like conflict, or at least to me, they seem to enjoy it. I personally do not enjoy conflict. I try to avoid conflict. It makes me uncomfortable. But conflict is a part of living in this world. You can minimize it, but you can't avoid it. So if you can handle conflict intelligently and try to detach yourself from it instead of taking it as a personal slam against you, you can come out without being upset or irritable from the experience. Some people seem to be able to detach themselves from conflict very easily. I'm not one of those people. You're probably not either. Being in real estate results in dealing with the public. You know what? It's similar to working in a grocery store, which I did on and off from the age of 10 until I was 22 years old. I learned some very valuable lessons in this occupation. What is it? The customer is always right. So don't argue with them. Be friendly to all customers, even if you don't really like them. Do more than is required or expected when dealing with a customer. The difference now is that you will be your own boss. You will not have to answer to anyone if you make a mistake. You will not have to be friendly to every prospective tenant you meet, and you can argue with prospective tenants or present tenants if you want to. But remember, tenants are now your customer. Without them, you'll be out of business. On one extreme, you do not want to be a pushover as far as dealing with tenants or prospective tenants. But on the other hand, you don't want to be labeled as a tyrant either. Renting your nice, clean home to strangers can be a little unnerving the first few times. In dealing with prospective tenants, I would definitely play the good guy routine. You don't know anything about the person or couple until you get a credit report and or a phone conversation report from previous landlords. If you tend to go by appearances, you can be fooled. If you tend to go by what they say, you could be fooled again. If you tend to go by the way they act, such as their demeanor and personality, might be fooled again. You don't have enough experience yet when dealing with prospective tenants to know good ones from not so good ones. So don't worry about this. I'll help you with this problem in later videos. The best way to avoid conflict with a tenant is to have a written lease that will encompass every situation that might come up during the lease period. The best source of a lease like this would be your local property management agent that leases single-family homes in your state and or city. get one of these and use it. If you want to do your own, remember it could be challenged in court. I use my own, and it's never been challenged in court in over 40 years I've been in the business. The next way you can avoid a conflict with a tenant is not to rent with anyone who does not meet your credit report criteria and the report you get from past landlords. If you keep your standards pretty high, that will eliminate getting stuck with late rent payments or phone calls telling you to hold on to the rent check a few days before depositing. About as bad as having tenants that are bad housekeepers. Remember, a credit report doesn't tell you anything about a tenant, really. I've seen some that had excellent credit rating but didn't know how to keep a house or a yard clean. Remember, an untidy home will be more work and expense for you later. I've never walked into one of my houses, and I ran into a couple months earlier and saw an untidy home that got cleaner over time. When they move out, it's usually trashed. One thing you can do to check on how your tenants are taking care of your property is this thing I've used. And it's to tell them that every 3 months or so, you're going to have a maintenance guy come by and change the air filter on the AC. That way you have someone to look over the interior condition of the property, whether that could be you or a person you hire to do these jobs. Remember, you should remain detached from the problem the tenant might experience. Remember, you're in business. You deserve to make a profit. If you don't make a profit, eventually you'll go out of business by providing shelter to people who desperately need it and want it. If you have a tenant that's causing problems for you by not paying rent or becoming increasingly late in rental payments each month, it's time to do something. Eventually the tenant's going to move out on you, surpassing what the security deposit would cover in back rent and any repairs or cleanup you may have to accomplish. Well, this is part one. We'll get back and talk about part two in a later time period. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks.